So I'm going to tell you a story today, and it's about my experience in California back when I first moved down to San Diego. And during that time, I was living in a house with a friend, a couple of friends. And during this time period, it was the fall of '93, and we had a little bit of a garden at the house. And there were some peppers that were still left in the garden. There was red, yellow, green, everything. And I didn't want it to go to waste, so I was trying to figure out what I should do. So I gathered up all of the peppers and I was going to put it in the freezer to save them. So I went ahead and I started gathering the peppers, brought them into the house, washed them all up, dried them all. I patted them dry, laid them all out. And then I needed to cut off the stem of the peppers. I sliced them in half. I threw away the seeds, scooped them out, and threw them away. Then I chopped off the stem. However, at that point, my hands had started to burn. They kind of felt like they were on fire, but I thought it was no big deal. Just take a break, wash them off real quick, and we'll go ahead. But oh wow, was that a bad idea? Then the pain started to increase. So I decided to stop, wash my hands again, use soap and a good rag, wash them really good. When I was done, I dried them all off. But that pain, that burning sensation, just continued to increase. And I was stuck. I was trying to figure out what I should do. But, I decided to get a bowl of ice water. I set up the bowl, I put some ice, and I just sat with my hands in the bowl of ice water. And oh wow, did that bring some relief. It actually worked. But about 1 hour later, I was still sitting there. And I thought, well, this should be enough. So I went to go get some lotion, rub them on my hands, and ooh, that was a terrible decision. That just made the burning worse. So I rinsed that off and I went back to the bowl of ice water. A while later, my friend came up and asked what I was doing. And I said that my hands were burning because of the peppers. And they didn't really know how to help me. And so they called a nurse to ask what the next best step would be. I'd been sitting there for 3, 4, 5 hours, and my fingers kind of looked like raisins. They were all shriveled from being in that bowl. The nurse had suggested something to do with meat, and I thought that was just a weird idea, so I was not interested. But we ended up putting something on my hands that was just quite terrible, and I had to rinse that off and go back to the bowl of ice water. I'd been sitting there for 5 or 6 hours at this point. I was beginning to get tired. I'd been there all day long. I was trying to figure out how I would even go to sleep. So I decided that I would lay opposite in my bed where I had a small little table on the end, and I could set the bowl of ice water at the end of my bed, and I could have my arms raised over my head and sleep that way. No problem. But the next day, when I woke up at 12 or 1, all of the ice had melted. And my hands were terribly, terribly burning again. So I had to put them back in the bowl. But I've decided from this point on, if I ever cut peppers again, I'll certainly wear gloves.